There we go. Okay, so here we are, folks. January 6th, 2021. Happy New Year. Start 2021 by helping others. Yay! Linda Sinkay, thank you for being here as greeter, even if you had a few computer problems.
Yeah, happy to see everyone.
Oh, hi, Linda.
Hi.
Greetings.
Greetings.
Good breakfast.
And Bill Schlutius.
All right, if everyone would face the flag and join me.
Yep.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United
Of the United
States
States of America.
and to the
To
republic
To the republic for which it
for which it
stands,
stands.
one nation under God,
Under God.
indivisible with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bill. And Gail.
Yes, I actually had something else in mind, but after last night, I'm okay. And Reverend Raphael Warnock quoted from Psalm 30, weeping may tarry for the night, but joy comes with the morning. However, what I really would like to say is, today is the first day of the rest of your life. That's attributed to Charles Diedrich, but it was actually the first line of a poem.
Thank you, Gail. Joe, what are we seeing
Yes.
for our first meeting of 2021?
Well, at 6:31 this morning, I got an email from Michael McLaughlin, who must have stayed up all night watching the returns from Georgia. And of course, he thought, "Oh, what a beautiful morning!" But as I look out the window, it isn't that beautiful. And it is the first meeting of the. It is a new year, and although most of us probably didn't stay up till midnight, it is appropriate, I think, to start the year off with Auld Lang Syne. So we will have beautiful mornings and we will celebrate, but let's do a little Auld Lang Syne this morning. And the words are pretty easy, so fake it if you don't know.
Right.
Should old acquaintance be forgotten and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgotten and think of Auld Lang Syne? My dear Auld Lang Syne, will kindness and for Auld Lang Syne.
Thank you, and thank you, Robbie Burns. So we have a couple of cyber Rotarians with us from the Rotary Club of Sparks, Nevada. We have Helene Campbell and we have Bruce Campbell. So welcome to our two cyber Rotarians.
Wonderful.
And we have a cyber Rotarian, Henry Alker, who will be joining us shortly. So do we have any other guests? Are there any other guests with us?
Henry's here.
Yeah, I know. I mentioned him.
Oh,
He's not a guest. He's
Gotcha.
a cyber Rotarian.
I'm
Gotcha.
the visiting Rotarian.
Yes.
I see Don Stradlin on there.
Yes, good to
Is
see you
Don
all.
here? Oh, goody. Welcome,
Hi,
Don.
Don.
It's so good.
Don.
We haven't seen you in so long. And we
It has
missed
been. It's been, well, thank you. I've missed you too. It's great to see so many faces this morning.
Don is today's program.
Yes.
Where's the dog?
Yes.
The dog is here, right here next to me.
Oh, no, it's Francis.
I'm glad you've been following her development.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've been following yours.
Yeah, she has us well trained. Exactly.
Well, let's face it, our pets are helping to keep us sane. So,
She's a big help. She's a big help.
yep. So wave your hands to your friends. We can't hug and shake hands. So good morning, everybody. It's so good to see y'all. And I get to mute you. There we go. Mute all, but don't forget, you always try to actually guess and who I'm going to call on, because then you can unmute yourself. And now, so we have a couple of birthdays. Is Jim Gilliam with us this morning yet? I guess not. Well, his,
Yeah, he's just there without his camera on.
oh, okay. So Jim Gilliam. Okay, well, Jim, we'll come back to you in a minute, but first, Kathy, you have a birthday coming up.
Yes. And I'm going to shelter in place.
Are you having a cupcake with a candle on it? Or?
Oh, I'm sure we'll have a nice meal.
Yeah. So, will Richard cook or will you do takeout?
I cook. I like to cook. I like to bake.
Yeah. Nice. So have a very happy birthday and we'll be thinking of you. Oh my goodness, we can sing to you on Friday.
The light bulb goes on.
It's like, oh, and there's Judy. Judy, you have your favorite.
Oh, look,
friend
your
with
new
you.
cat.
Yes. Okay, Judy, go ahead and unmute yourself. We'll skip around. Oh, so you're still muted. You're still muted, Judy. Nope. Okay, there you go.
It wouldn't let me unmute.
Ah.
It's Bunny, and it's not so new anymore. She's going on 5 months.
Wow, what a pretty kitty.
She is
Poor
beautiful.
unloved little kitty.
She has me well trained as well.
Yeah, they do that. They do that. Okay, so Jim Gilliam, now are you with us and you can unmute yourself? Okay, well, Kathy had a birthday on the 3rd. I hope she had a happy birthday and you took care of her well. We don't have any anniversaries, so this was kind of a quiet, you know, let's face it, between Christmas and New Year's is sort of a dead zone. So here's what's coming up. Now, I've mentioned to everybody before, but tomorrow at noon is the special Rotary meeting that includes the chair of the Francis Ulmer, the chair of the Nature Conservancy. I have quite a list of people who are attending. This is your last call. If you want to attend, shoot me an email and I'll send you the Zoom information. It should be a really interesting, probably quite depressing, but interesting meeting. And then Kathy Rogers want to say something about First Friday.
I'll send out the invite. Now, Barbara, you already sent everybody the Zoom, right?
No, I didn't.
It was just me?
I sent it to you.
Why don't you?
And I sent it to Jim, so good enough, so he could put it in the website.
I would send it to everybody because
Okay,
I can't
I'll do that.
forward yours. And then I'll also send a sign up that has the ID and password on it.
Okay, perfect. I will do that after this meeting, sometime this morning. Then we have a couple of committee meetings coming up. Next Monday will be the Community Services meeting. Michael McLaughlin's leading that, and the Zoom information should be in the members only section of the website. Then next Wednesday, after our usual meeting, we'll have Michael Cook will be holding a meeting for the International Services Committee. And then on the 18th is our club board meeting. So that also is going to be in the Zoom, the members only section of the website. So come one, come all, put in your 2 cents, 10 cents, or whatever you want to contribute, because this is your club. Then there should be a SCARC meeting sometime this month, but I haven't received any notification yet, and that will probably be on the Thursday, the 28th. So we'll wait for that information. And if anybody has anything else, just let me know. So now, Kathy and Henry, Malcolm, unmute yourselves, please.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we have you. Thank you. Kathy, will you please induct our newest member?
You betcha. Fellow Rotarians, it is my privilege and pleasure today to welcome into membership in our club, Henry Alker, who requested to transfer from the Rotary Club of Sebastopol, often referred to us by the Noon Club. The proposal has been reviewed in accordance with our club constitution and bylaws. Henry Alker, we proceed to admit you both into membership in Sebastopol Sunrise Rotary Club and to the continued friendship of Rotary, both locally and throughout the world. Our principal motto is service above self, and the object of our club and all Rotary clubs is to encourage and foster this ideal. You've been approved for membership in this club because we believe you to be worthy representative as a retired Cornell University professor, an asset manager, a Rotarian in good standing, an Arch Clump Fellow, and one who is interested in the ideals of Rotary. You have agreed to accept the obligations of membership in this club and to obey this club's constitution and bylaws. And now I'd like to turn it over to Barbara while we virtually pin you.
So, Henry, I have for you, you can sort of see it. This is the
Yes.
theme pin for this year that I want to present to you sooner or later.
Great.
Plus, you know, I'm sure you have multiple Rotary pins, but we
A
want
whole collection.
a whole collect. Every once in a while, I get all my Rotary pins together and I go, it's a bag. But it's part of the fun of Rotary is having all those pins and remembering where they all came from. So we really want to welcome you to our club. Come every week, come to our committee meetings, come to our board meetings, come to our first Friday and get to know us so we can get to know you. And we are looking forward to meeting you and enjoying Rotary with you. So welcome, Henry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Receive a standing ovation.
I got my computer in my lap, so I'm not standing up.
And President Barbara,
Yes,
wait, there's more.
yes, there's more.
I have Henry's welcome packet here in Freestone, and you get another pin, Henry.
Yeah.
It's part of the packet.
Oh, life's
Yep.
too short.
And and we have this wonderful certificate of membership to Sebastopol Sunrise that we will get to you. But most importantly, here's your red new member badge, which will be attached to your Sebastopol Sunrise badge as you go through fermentation and we get to know you better. We're absolutely delighted that you've chosen Sebastopol Sunrise as your new Rotary home. Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'll be mentoring you, so we'll get that ribbon off you quick, Henry.
Yeah, it won't take long.
I'm not worried about it. I've learned too much about Rotary already, so I'll try to forget some of it in order to meet your standards.
Oh, you must have
I've been to, I think,
stories.
5 different Rotary International meetings.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Hey, good. Well, we're looking forward to meeting you and hearing more about you, and welcome to our club. Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Good. So weekly announcements. Michael Cook. Are you unmuted? Woo-hoo.
No, I'm right here.
No, I mean, Michael McLaughlin, sorry. Got my Michaels mixed up. I was looking at you, Michael, because you're right under me. So Michael McLaughlin,
Yes.
go for it.
Okay, we had a little event the day before Christmas. And I'd just like to take a moment to thank a few people that were involved. It really took the entire village to get it done. I really want to thank Barbara, first of all, because you know, this would have been a real easy year for us to just skip with everything that's going on. And Barbara's focus on feeding people, was really the inspiration for us getting together and trying to figure out how we can make this thing happen. And it happened very well. We constructed the 300 boxes in an unbelievably short amount of time. We actually built 300 boxes in a little less than 2 hours, which I had anticipated would require 4 hours to do. So the second shift that showed up to do it didn't have anything to do. We dispersed all the boxes, all 300 of them were eventually given away. The fire department, local fire department, took a few of them off our hands at the end and dispersed them out to folks that they knew that were in need. Kathy and I took home the last 2 boxes, and I stopped at Bill's Farm Basket out on Bodega Highway and asked them to give it to one of their clients. So they all went to good homes, and we feel real good about that. So just in terms of thank you, obviously the Christmas Queen, Kathy Rogers, really needs to be thanked. Couldn't have done it without her. She coordinated all of the volunteers and just, was the spirit behind this whole thing. Jim Glom just continually works for the good of the homeless and works in terms of feeding people, has a great relationship with the Redwood Empire Food Bank, which really allowed us to get this done in terms of all of the vegetables, and some of the canned goods came from the Empire Food Bank, and we will be continuing to support them with our volunteer days at least once a month. PJ served as quartermaster, and there was surprisingly a lot of stuff that needed to be gathered, and PJ did a great job. Thank you very much. Terry Kelly really stepped up to the plate and created the graphics and the flyer for us. We got those disseminated. Thank you very much, Terry. Did a great job. To quote you, you done good. Michael Fells and Dewey Watson, our toy czars. We were really concerned about how we were going to deal with the toys this year, because we didn't want anybody getting out of cars, and it was going to be difficult to divide stuff up among ages. And at any rate, we had a ton of toys, as much toys as we've ever had in the past. At the end of the day, they were all gone, and there are a bunch of really happy kids out there. So thank you to Michael and Dewey Watson. Jerry Mechelin, our photographer extraordinaire, as you're looking at those, was everywhere and really did a great job in memorializing this. Rod McCulley was our wholesale distribution arm, worked with the churches and worked with the Interfaith Food Pantry. And we distributed a number of boxes through that outlet, as well as from Brian Purcell, who was generous enough to donate a substantial amount of money, and took 20 of the boxes over to a nonprofit in Santa Rosa, and we appreciate that. Judy Rice and Gail Thomas, the hand writing cramped hand, they did a fantastic job. The Art Center created 300 Christmas cards that were made by students at the Art Center. Judy and Gail and several other people personally wrote a little note to everyone so that they would get a little bit of Christmas cheer. And it took a long time, and thank you very, very much. I think that was a very, very touching thing to do. Joe Gaz, Terry Kelly handled our sound. We didn't as it turned out, Mr. Music couldn't make it, but we had sound nonetheless. Lori Darling, I'd like to thank you for all of the PEP materials that you supplied. I think that we did our best to socially distance, and everybody had masks, everybody had gloves. I think we have no fatalities as a result. So I feel really good about that. Jim Goodenough, our web presence was extraordinary, and both in terms of fundraising and promoting the event itself. And I thank you for that. John Boletto and Bill Sauber really stepped up to the plate and made the whole thing possible in a lot of ways. We had a tremendous amount of food that had to be packed and had to be schlepped around in order to get it to the position. So John contributed a flatbed truck and a forklift, and Bill showed up at 7:30 in the morning down at Pacific Market, and we loaded up all the chickens and loaded up all the everything that needed to come over and got it over, and Redwood Empire Food Bank showed up with their stuff, and we were right on time in terms of beginning the whole process. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Ken Silvera at Pacific Market. They donated a substantial amount of money, and then they also gave us all the food at cost. So a tremendous benefit there. Corbell did a standout job for us when we looked at the amount of stuff that was going to go into the box. We quickly determined that the wine cases that we had gotten from the food bank were not going to be nearly big enough. So we called Corbell, and they graciously gave us 350 of their champagne cases, which were absolutely perfect. Redwood Empire Food Bank, Sprint donated the printing for us. It was really a community effort. We had some partners involved in this year, and I think it was really a good thing that we brought the community together on this. The Rotary Club of Sebastopol gave us a major contribution and gave us major volunteer effort. We had a number of folks from the Noon Club that showed up. Cindy Carter, their community services person, and Dan Rasmus, their president, were both involved in the early planning stages of this, and did a great job for us. The Sebastopol Center for the Arts stepped up big time. This was the perfect location to construct and to disseminate all of the boxes, and it was a real pleasure working with the Center for the Arts. They were very, very cooperative. Anthony, their facilities person, just couldn't have been more helpful for us. And finally, the local branch of the VFW stepped up big time, and we had anticipated that we would have huge traffic problems. As it turned out, we didn't, but if we had, they were there. So they directed traffic, and they also made a nice contribution to the cause. So, it wasn't a sit-down dinner. It probably wasn't as gratifying for some of us as the sit-down dinner is. On the other hand, it was a hell of a lot easier, and we ended up feeding an awful lot of people. So I thank everybody that participated, and you done good.
Yay. And
Barbara, can we have an acknowledgement big time for what Michael did here?
Oh, absolutely. But let me read something first, okay? Because I got this note. It says, Rotarians, you are so generous, kind, and thoughtful. My Christmas dinner box was overflowing with yumminess. You can see a picture of it down there. There was enough for many meals in the coming days. This world needs more of you in it. Hopeful for a healthy 2021 to you all. Sincerely, Virginia. So, yes, thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. This was fabulous and exactly why Rotary is in the community. So thank you again.
My pleasure.
Yay.
Here's to Michael. Here's
Here's
to
to
Michael.
Michael. Here's to Michael. He's a
horse's
horse's ass.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So thank you to everyone. And here's another, this is just sort of, I got an email on this. I couldn't do good, but you know, we have Rotary action groups, Rotarian action groups, and they are doing an event on climate restoration, January 21st. If anybody's interested, shoot me an email and I'll forward it to you. It's on Zoom, of course, but the Environmental Sustainability Rotarian Action Group and the Rotary Climate Action Team both are putting this together. And it's, you know, again, thanks to Zoom, they can put this stuff together and anybody and everybody can attend. So now we have the week in review. Who has something to share? And all I can say is New Year's Eve, my son became engaged. And we are absolutely thrilled to death. We've never physically met her. We've seen her on Zoom and messaged and everything. And we are absolutely thrilled to death. So our year started on an extremely fabulous high note. So who has something else to share? And we're kind of combining this with Happy Bucks, but we've got a couple.
How much are your happy bucks for that?
Oh, I'm going to do $100 to the community foundation for that. And we have a couple of minutes. So if anybody else have happy thoughts and a great start to the new year. I mean, yeah, we know about the election last night, but how about other stuff?
Barbara?
Yes.
This Wayne.
Yes, Wayne.
I had a birthday yesterday.
Oh, you did? Then why didn't it show up in?
Well, I was wondering, but you know, I didn't-
FDD? Okay, so Wayne yesterday, I'm writing this down, January 5th. I'm going to go into DAC. Oh, you know, you're here and I just totally blew it. I'm so sorry, Wayne. I'm not worthy. So what did you do for your birthday?
I went shopping for the restaurant.
That's what I thought.
That's my Tuesday, pretty much every day.
Right. Well, then
it was a good day.
Did Alex
Happy birthday,
cook you
Wayne.
dinner?
Thank you. Did Alex make dinner? No, he worked. I actually, well, I didn't make dinner, but I got to choose dinner. So I chose something that was kind of simple and like a Max Grill type thing. I don't know if you know Max Grill or not.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it was good.
Good. I'm glad you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got one more minute. Anybody else have anything they're happy about and a good start to the year?
I have something.
Okie dokie.
So last night we were meeting with people and putting together a new telemedicine project in the Philippines, and a Rotary Club of Calgary in Canada contributed about a third of the cost, and they confirmed their donation last night. So we're going full steam ahead with a new project all being done using Zoom to make it all happen. So glad to have a new project going forward, even though there's a lockdown.
Wonderful. Yay. Well, then I think it's time to have Dawn and Terry. You're going to handle the introductions, so you better unmute yourself. And I'm going to stop sharing.
I will.
And Dawn, you can
I
share
want
if you need to.
I'd like to introduce Don Spradlin. Many of us know Don from the time he was a member. I think, Don, you remember for about 6 years. And when he was here in Sonoma County, he worked as a development director at Food for Thought, development director for the Palm Drive Hospital Foundation. And then he moved to San Francisco, just left us, and is now working for the California Historical Association, which he'll talk about today. One fact about Don, when he was in the club, we had Don and two other members who were natives of Oklahoma. Past President Ken Brandt went to Will Rogers High School. And it was just a fascinating graduating class that you've all heard of members of it. And then Dewey Watson was a member of the club then, and he's an Oklahoma native, and Don Spradlin. And oddly enough, Don Spradlin's name is Don Dewey, or Dewey Don, and Dewey's name is Don Dewey. So I guess it was a Oklahoma thing that you named kids the same thing. So anyway, Don, we're thrilled to have you here today and want to hear what you're doing. And people do expect to see Francis.
And you need to unmute, Don.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, everyone. It's such a treat to see all of your faces and a couple of new faces. I forgot how much fun I had. It was about 5 or 6 years that I was a member of the Sunrise Club. And I rented that condo across the driveway to the Masonic building, which was my beginning for that. But I guess what I'll do first is introduce Frances. I'm going to wake her up, which is kind of dangerous. And she's hard to see because she's a black fluffy puppy, but that's the girl. And adopted her in August. So she's been a real lifesaver for this shelter at home process. And I started working with the California Historical Society, CHS, a year ago last month. So I'd taken a sabbatical after being in the development business for 20 years and decided to continue to do that work. And so I found this job opening. I was hired in December by the executive director who had just been hired 3 or 4 months before me. They had done a search and hired this gal from Wisconsin Historical Society. And they also hired the CFO about the same time. So the top 3 of us, the top 3 senior officers in the organization were all brand new. And we were discovering things about the history of the organization that were both good and bad. Excuse me. Our new executive director, Alicia Goring, had been a senior director at the Wisconsin Historical Society. And her project at the time was that she was in charge of building the new Wisconsin Historical History Museum. And the budget for the Wisconsin organization was $34 million, and they had 340 some odd employees. The budget for the California Historical Society was less than 2 million, and we had 19 employees. So I think you'll agree there's something wrong with this picture. And so, I mean, besides being a proud Californian, I think we have an exciting history. And, you know, she looked at what was going on between the 2 organizations as well as other similar organizations. And the board asked her to come to their December meeting, the month I was hired, with one proposal rather than a menu of ideas about what to do to change our organization. So she made a proposal, which I'd like to talk about, but I think what I'll do is start at the beginning and kind of give you a view of how the organization started and how we got to today. And so the organization started, the guy's name, let me look at my notes here, was John Dwinell. He was a California state assemblyman who's also credited with starting the University of California. And in 1871, he established the Historical Society by bringing together a group of peers at the Santa Clara College to establish a historical society. And the quote is, "For the purpose of collecting and bringing to light and publishing from time to time all information not generally accessible on the subject of the early colonization and settlement of the West Coast of America, especially northwestern Mexico, California, and Oregon. So that was the charter. And this is our 150th year. Whoopee. So part of what I was hired to do was to not only run the raise money through major donors, but to organize an event, which of course we were unable to organize. So after the organization was formed, there have been several other tough times that we've gone through. After the 1906 San Francisco earthquake, the society went into dormancy until J. Templeton Crocker, the grandson of Charles Crocker, donated his collection of Californiana in 1922. At the time, that collection was equal to that of the Bancroft and the Huntington Library, and it really set the organization off on a good start. They actually, with dues for the first time, hired their first employee in 1923 and had their first show at the Bohemian Club in 1924. So Governor Jerry Brown signed a state Senate bill in 1979 that made the California Historical Society, CHS, the official state historical society. In 1993, the society purchased the building at 678 Mission Street, which was originally a Hundley hardware store. And at one point, it was the headquarters for Nancy Pelosi's first run for office. In the year they bought it, they remodeled the building, and the architect on that remodel was Adolphe Rosekrantz. I met him after I got started here. He's the great-great-grandson of Alma Spreckels. If you're familiar with Big Alma, who established the Palace of Legion of Honor, and was the California CNH sugar heiress. So getting back to the history, the building is right there in the redeveloping at the time Yerba Buena Gardens district, and it's across from today's African Diaspora Museum. Have any of you been there to our building? It's a little two-story building that has a place for exhibitions, and there's a balcony office that opens to the roof. Balconies around that space, which is where we have our staff offices. And the basement is where we have the majority of our collection, which is well over 2 million items at this point. Half the staff are archivists and program directors. And so that kind of brings us up to what we're doing right now, which is having the building closed. But I get back to when I started. The first board meeting, which was in Burbank in that month of December, I attended, I was introduced, and then I literally got in my car and drove around the state to have private meetings with the board members to see who they knew and how many meetings I could set up with major donors. So that was how I was getting my feet on the ground. And I also learned that 9 of the last 10 exhibitions the organization had sponsored and produced had lost money, and that they had not had a major donor effort. They weren't talking to donors for 2 or 3 years. So what they were living on were basically grants. And it was interesting because they were not allowed to get direct funding from the state because we're a nonprofit. So after that first meeting, I realized they had voted on a new strategy, and I'd like to explain that a little bit. So the strategy was to accept this one idea that Alicia proposed, which was to basically, it had 5 components: but the most important one, I think, and the most unique was to establish 5 field offices around the state so that we would get boots on the ground in more localized areas. This is what Wisconsin has done so well. And it was really an interesting idea because what we wanted to look at was where the strong history departments were in one of the university systems. And what we were able to do was connect with the UC Riverside office, which has a very strong history department. One of their history professors is on our board. And we got permission from the provost to open an office in one of their buildings. And the strategic plan was to open an office every year for 5 years and establish at least 5 field offices. So the idea of having field offices would be to not only collaborate with the university and train their interns and let them have a direct access to our collection, but also to be able to put a person in the office who could be a consultant to the local history organizations. So we looked at how many history organizations there were in the state, and there were over 500 that were already signed up to an association of history organizations. And of course, you can imagine most of these were run by volunteers or very small staff. In fact, 95% of them only had 1 or 2 staff members, volunteer or paid. So what we knew we could do, which is what Wisconsin was so successful about, was to provide a paid staff as a consultant to them for archival information, collection, marketing, whatever they needed. We could also start doing our exhibitions on a traveling basis. So one of the things that we were kind of concerned about was that the California History Society, California Historical Society, CHS, is perceived as a very San Francisco-centric organization, even though we're statewide. And in fact, the majority of our board members are not in San Francisco. So it was important that we really put our exhibitions on the road and create different versions of them so that we could do trunk shows and exhibitions in other locations in collaboration with organizations that would allow us to put our exhibition in their lobby or wherever, their library. So it became part of the strategic plan was to sell our building. And this all happened in December, if you remember those early days. And the idea was that we put marketing materials together to sell the building, excuse me, and plan to put it on the market in February of 2020. So I was in charge of selling the building and was unable to meet with major donors. And then I was meeting with the development team, or the real estate brokers actually, about what we could sell the building for, since it was, I would describe it as a drain on our resources. We had our collection in the basement, which did not need to be in such an exciting location in San Francisco. We had offices on the second floor, which were not high priority in terms of location either. And the exhibition was well located. That's a great corner at 3rd and Mission. But, you know, we'd have 2 or 3 people a day show up and pay $10 to go see the exhibition. So really putting the exhibition on the road and putting our collection in a less expensive location did make sense. And we got a lot of blowback from the idea of selling our one asset. The building was unencumbered, there was no debt, and the real estate brokers thought it was worth about 17 million. So we put the marketing materials out, and then the pandemic hit. And we still don't know when the market might come back and how bad things are, but we certainly think the market went down at least 40%. So now we have the market on the building on the market, and it's worth maybe 10 million. I've gotten 3 letters of intent, or letters of interest rather, from buyers at 9.5 to 10.5 million. And I just don't want to sell it at a fire sale. So I'm looking into a loan, which we should be able to get fairly easily. And that I hope will give us a 2 to 3 year bridge into whatever the next market is going to look like. So I don't think I think we'll take the building off the market sometime in the next month or 2, if we get the loan. So that kind of brings us up to date. And I really don't like talking so much myself. I'd rather just talk and exchange ideas with you. So if you have any questions, I'd love to kind of go in that direction now, if that works for you.
Yeah, Don, this is Michael.
Hi, Michael.
Hi. So tell me a little bit more about the actual scope of the mission of the society. For example, when you talked about the founder's vision, it began with the colonization of California and the West Coast. But of course, the history didn't start then. So are they interested in going back before that at all? Is there any reference to prehistory,
was there, yeah,
Western settlement? Yeah.
Well, was there history before colonization?
Yeah, right, exactly.
I started to focus this talk this morning on little stories about meeting with donors, because it's just so amazing. It's what I love. To answer your question, we have done extensive work in prehistory, if you want to call it that, which is actual history. And that includes, our next show is going to be an Indian basket presentation.
Okay.
That was being sponsored by, in a large part, by Greg Saras, who's chief of the tribe at the Grayton tribe. And, you know, it's just been fascinating to meet and work with those donors who are interested. Mabel McKay is the Indian that did the weaving, and her son is one of the donors. Greg Saras was raised by her in some form or fashion. There's some history there. He and her son don't get along. They hate each other. It's just, you know, it's like normal donor stuff, which I find fascinating. But anyway, that is an important part of what we're doing. The other important part of what we're doing is expanding the history into areas of equality and diversity and inclusion, not just because that's the new current, you know, hot phase, but also previous to even the George Floyd transition in our culture. The organization tried very hard to be more broadly representative of unrepresented cultures.
Okay.
And my favorite story in that regard was I was calling this major donor who used to be on our board. His name was General Peter Musto, in case any of you happen to have heard from him. He was probably 95. And because he was a gay man, and I thought, oh my goodness, I can just call him and have lots to talk about. We had mutual friends. And I called him up cold. And he said, I don't want to give you any more money. I hate this organization. You're much too liberal, and slammed the phone down.
Oh my God.
And I never met the guy. He didn't know me from Adam. I didn't even have a chance to tell him who we had in common in terms of friends. And I went to our executive director and said, what does that even mean, that we're too liberal? And, you know, we just assume that we're too liberal because we're no longer representing just white male history. But anyway, I hope that answers part of your question.
Don?
Don,
Yes.
this is Bill.
Laughlin here. You talked about the size of the collection. And I thought you said 2 million pieces.
Easy.
What does that consist of?
It's fascinating. I worked there probably 3 months before I was even allowed down in the archive. So it's a secure, air-conditioned area. We also have stuff at 2 other locations, stuff that's not even cataloged. So it consists, there are separate rooms downstairs. They rebuilt the downstairs. There's one room of just paintings, which are worth millions. And in fact, the current exhibition, which is The Gold Rush to the Earthquake, is the name of it, is pretty much paintings. And it shows paintings of Palo Alto and Livermore and Salinas Valley before they were populated. Just landscapes. And I think most of those are from the Crocker collection. And there's a room full of maps. There are, you know, those file cabinets that you roll so that they can all be squashed together and take up less space. There are linear feet, hundreds of linear feet of phone books and different kinds of ephemeral that represent history back into the 19th century. There's a library full of first edition books. And it's called the North Baker Library, which is actually a room on the first floor that is staffed by librarians. And it's free research for anyone that can get there. So what we've been doing, by the way, the organization decided on Friday, the 13th of March to close. And we all went home to work. And the archivists have been going into the building and getting new material and taking it home to digitize it. So they've been continuing to try to digitize things that we needed to digitize. And they're available on a normal life for people to come in and do research. And there's items in the upstairs North Baker Library that are popular and requested often. And if somebody wants a special book, and there's tons of books in the downstairs archive, they will go get it, bring it up, and then have an appointment with somebody to do research.
Okay, so Bill Sauber?
Yeah, you mentioned having some collaboration with universities and their history departments. Have you also had collaboration with some of the support groups at our state parks? I think of several, the one that Michael set up at Fort Ross, a fascinating history up there of the Russian involvement on the North Coast. Another one is up in Grass Valley. There's a mine up there, and when they have an exhibition, they like open it for a special day, you know, a couple of times a year, and they're huge crowds.
Yeah.
And I would think that if the Historical Society has stuff to contribute and get some of the revenue back as well, it might be another, both a revenue source and exposure to the Historical Society.
You've touched on the most exciting part of this field office idea. The idea, the history, the most recent history is if you look at the last 10 years, they did a very high profile shows. I mean, they lost a lot of money, but you know, you may remember the Summer of Love show, which was in collaboration with the Parks Department here in the city, Golden Gate Park. And then there was the 1915 100th anniversary of the Pan-Pacific International Exposition. So those shows were hugely popular and very San Francisco centric. the idea, the thing that's so exciting about this field office thing is that that's where the goodies are, you know, like somebody's attic in Lemon Grove or something. You know, we can go there, we can make connections to those people, help them understand how to archive what they have and preserve it at least, and perhaps get it digitized. I mean, we're collaborating with lots of different organizations that do digitization. So those things can happen more when we've got field offices in the right place.
Great, thank you. We're out of time, Don, but sorry.
I know.
Thank you very much for coming. Yay.
Yeah,
Great to be back.
good to see you again.
Good to see,
Good to see
very,
you.
very good
Thank
to
you.
see you. We have missed you.
I've missed you guys. I'll have to come to a meeting. Really good friends of mine bought Frank Mayhew's house in Brayton.
Okay.
And I've been able to come up and stay with them, even though I can't get out and socialize.
Right, right.
So hopefully one day I'll be able to see you in person.
Yeah, well, one of these days, maybe we'll be able to meet in person.
Exactly.
So, thank you. So Marnie, do we have a way clean joke from you?
Yes, you bet. Whether or not you believe in karma as a spiritual idea, or just enjoy a good laugh at the idea of bad people getting what they deserve in the end, it's worth considering how you behave as you go about your life. After all, you don't ever want to be on the receiving end of karma's cosmic joke. So, did you hear about the new takeout restaurant at the Barlow? It's called Karma. There's no menu. You get what you deserve.
Thank you. Yeah, karma can be a bitch. So, Michael Fells, who is number 21 today for the lucky Year of the Ox Scratcher?
Well, let's hope this year is luckier for the winners than last year. So this is Charlie Judson's day to try to be.
Okay, Charlie, I'm writing your name on the ticket so I can remember who it belongs to. I shall scratch it and let you know if you won $1 gazillion. I think you probably should have gone and bought Powerball and stuff like that. But so Joe, can you lead us out, please?
And here we go, out for the first time in 2021. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
So see you all next week or first Friday. I'll send the information out.
All right, good deal.